the first panel of today. Let's talk about some social media. Now, social media, I know for many of us can feel like this never ending content treadmill that we're on, trying to keep up with trends, chase engagement, and somehow we magically want to convert donors. We want to convert followers into donors. But what if social media could be one of the most powerful tools for growing a thriving monthly giving community? So, this panel today is going to talk about just that, moderated by Stephanie Barnhill. She has worked with hundreds of incredible nonprofits as a Givebutter fundraising expert. She has helped customers optimize their virtual fundraising and donor engagement to attract more support and further their mission. And the panel features Maya Anderson from the Hope booth. I told you were going to get to meet somebody from their team today. AKA goes by the social media therapist. She diagnoses and heals broken social media strategies by combining a decade of experience of holistic approach to digital wellness. Love that. After managing 2.9 million followers across social channels at Charity Water with industry-leading engagement rates, she is on a mission to help content creators and established mission-driven brands build sustainable, intentional online presences. Let's go. Jason and Mariah are both from Leave No Trace on the marketing manager and the membership coordinator teams. Jason brings over a decade of experience in marketing and digital strategy with a strong background in digital campaigns and really managing end-to-end marketing operations. Mariah is fostering the love for outdoors by promoting sustainable practices and engaging members in the organization's initiatives. I love this. Before joining in 2023, she worked as a recreation ranger with the U.S. Forest Service, getting hands-on experience in environmental stewardship and educating the public on Leave No Trace principles. And with that, I am so thrilled to bring everybody up to the stage. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
Hello.
Stage is
Hey
yours.
there. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Stephanie, I'll let you take the show.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dana. This is already just the most incredible summit. I'm so excited to be here with this phenomenal panel. So we have so many questions. We got to dive in right away. So first of all, panel, great to have you here. I have a question for all of you. Maya, maybe we start with you for your answer. How important is your social media presence in the growth of your monthly giving communities and moving forward advocacy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the question, Stephanie. And thank you all. If you're excited to learn about social media, you have to say you're excited in the chat. But what I will say, how to actually sustain, I feel like it's important because it's your brand awareness. A lot of times, especially for organic, which is what I tend to specialize in, it is your top of funnel. It is how people will more than often learn about you, how they'll find you. If someone hears your name, it's also the first place that they go. They go to Instagram usually. Let me type in and try to find this place if they're relevant. And so I think it is your first point of contact. And it's also your brand awareness, meaning how people will first interpret how much of your brand is already established. At Hope Booth, we had that oftentimes people thought that our organization was just already the top of the top, that they didn't need to give anything because we just had donors on donors. And it's just something that helps to really give brand awareness. And I think in the end, also, it's that connection point. It allows for people to actually be able to feel like they're a part of it, which is a journey that you want your donors to feel, especially monthly donors. You can have other means of communicating with them, of course, like emails and other types of marketing, but you really want to keep social bite-sized, something that's engaging, energetic, but also something that is your first point of contact. So yeah, that's what I would say is why social media is super important.
I love that, Maya. I love the bite-sized piece. Absolutely. Take it bite
Yes.
by bite, right? Jason, Maria, I would love to hear from you on this answer as well.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that it's not only the first point of contact for our consumers, but it's also a continual point of contact. We're only going to send out emails once or twice a month, but life changes at a flash of, instantly. So we want to make sure that we're getting our messages out as quickly as possible. And social really allows us to have a genuine conversation with our fan base and our members as well.
Totally. I would say that we definitely use social media to kind of expand that conversation. So say we say something in an email where it's kind of a little highlight of a conservation project that we did. We'll then link a post to our social media that will then have that in-depth video of the real life, what's happening at that project, who are the people that we're interacting with, and what is the change that's happening there, and meeting those people in real time. So yeah, definitely continuing the conversation and growing from there.
I love that. Definitely a conversation, especially because these might be folks we don't get to meet in person. So being able to have that conversation virtually is vital. Thank you both so much for that. Maya, a question specifically for you. You have worked with incredible organizations like Charity Water and the amazing Hope Booth, both of which have leveraged social media to build powerful communities. What key lessons have shaped how you approach digital engagement with Charity Water and also at Hope Booth?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think you have to go into these scenarios knowing that, first of all, who are you speaking to, right? I feel like oftentimes that's the catch 22, and and we can get into that more later. But I think when I'm shaping my digital engagement approach, it's knowing who you're talking to. It's knowing who you're not talking to. Oftentimes we can create all the targeted avatars in the world and know like this is the person, they shop at this place, this is where they do it. But oftentimes with the clients that I've worked with, and especially at organizations like Hope Booth, like Charity Water, I knew our anti-personas. I knew who I wasn't talking to, because that gets you even clearer in who you're speaking to. And then the third thing is speaking their language. You don't want to just be speaking in the way that helps you. And oftentimes that's what I feel like, not just in the mission-based world, but I've been able to work in a lot of organizations outside of it. Being an artist myself, an actress, working with artists, like award-winning hip-hop artists, and working with photographers and videographers. And the same thing goes. They have this same prescription that like, I want to talk to people how I want to talk to people. And the truth is you should speak to people the way that they want to be talked to. And so learn their language, speak their language. And I would say there's 3 things that you can do just off the top that will help you speak their language. Engage with them. At Charity Water, we had a pick a side for a launch for World Water Day last year. And it was just this way of us being able to put our problem, our mission right in front of people's face, but in a low lift way that almost made them have to go through this cycle of like, what would you call it? Like, one of those scavenger hunts. And so through that process, they actually felt a little more endeared to our cause, but in a low lift way. So you want to engage with people and have something engaging and interactive like that, but you also want to educate people. Another Charity Water example that I was able to help develop was our Did You Know series, which is just literally educating people 15 seconds or less with our evergreen videos of a problem. Did you know that people have more access to cell phones than toilets? Most people don't, but that's something that's at the heart of the mission at Charity Water. And so that helped people understand why they should care, because a lot of people may know all the things that they're doing, but they don't understand why they should care. And so you want to absolutely educate. And the last thing is expound. Another thing that I was able to have develop there at Charity Water was Transparency Tuesday, which the brand is known for their transparency. They're known for their motto when it comes to their 100% giving. And so leaning into that, especially I think as you're trying to build a new donor audience with Gen Z. I'm a Gen Zer. I'm turning 26 this week. And so are you speaking my language, or are you still talking to older donors? I think that needs to be a conversation that we have as well. Thank you so much. But yes, so with that in mind, I think if you engage, educate, and expound, you'll be in a good place to actually be able to leverage who you're talking to.
Such great tips there. I love speaking how they want to speak, learning their language, really is, I think, such a great point and so vital and so helpful. Wonderful. Thank you. Jason and Maria, a question for you. Leave No Trace has built an incredible social media presence with nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram. Oh my gosh. How has social media played into your larger recurring giving strategy, and what impact have you seen?
It's wow. Actually, it's been amazing. Yeah, it's in my head. So Meta has been really interesting for us right now. We had over 100,000 followers in November, and then in January we had almost we lost almost 20,000 people because of people leaving. So, but in February we've made them almost all back. because of that exodus. And I think really the opportunity that we have found is early on when we were on meta channels, Instagram, Facebook, people just started liking us as opposed to really engaging with us. So I think we've lost a lot of those non-engaging people, and we've been able to really build our audience back up. One, because we are our audience, which is pretty, I think, unique. I come from the e-commerce world, so I'd usually sell products that I really didn't care much about, but this is something that is personal to each and every one of us that works at Leave No Trace. So when we're out there communicating, whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn, first we're tailoring those messages to that audience, but it's also coming from our heart. And I think that really resonates with the people that we're talking to. So it helps really boost and amplify our message because it really resonates with them. So we're having conversations with people that are very like-minded. And when we talk about important issues or our training, it really resonates with people, and they understand that we really need the funds to help build our courses and whatnot. And it's something that they truly believe in.
Yeah, I'll add too that at our core, Leave No Trace is an educational nonprofit. So our educational content that's what people first kind of recognize us as, with our 7 principles and stuff like that, and a basic framework. And let's continue building, and let's continue educating in all these different ways, whether it's through a project that we're doing, whether it's through our new ambassador team that we have, or different kind of ways to say different versions of the same kind of story, and the same educational aspects, but having different voices there, and continuing those conversations and these different platforms in different ways.
I love that. The flexibility and adaptability that y'all have done, and you're doing such an amazing job to solicit that many fans and that many supporters. So that is incredible. Thank you, Jason, Maria. Maya, back to you with another question. Both Charity Water and Hope Booth excel at storytelling that moves people to action. What are the must-have elements of a compelling social media story that converts casual followers into long-term supporters?
Man, that is actually like one of the main reasons, though I think I have a job, is for that type of question. I'll tell you what, I think there's 3 things. I think one is authenticity. So something at Charity Water and Hope Booth that I didn't implement, they were just inherent to the operations of how they did data and asset management. There is they use no stock images for anything, no stock videos for anything. And so there's a true understanding of authenticity. Everything that you see on our social is actually connected to an event, people, and just things that are actually of referring to us. And that doesn't have to be something high lift. That can absolutely be something that's done on an iPhone. Or if you have an Android, no, I won't say that. But if you have whatever phone you have, whatever assets that you have, we have computers that we're walking around with every single day. Do not minimize what you already have, whether you're grassroots or whether you're a legacy brand. I will also say that content that resonates emotionally. At Hope Booth, we had a big campaign launch called Your Story Matters. And we had this big event in Venice Beach a couple years ago. And during that, we had a mental health doesn't discriminate summit. And through that, we were able to tell the stories of people who seemingly look like they don't have any mental health crises, and how just looking at someone, you will not be able to see if they have a mental health crisis or not, if they have challenges or not, do they have a story with suicide or not. And so because of that, we were able to leverage those assets and reuse them on social media. And one of the key players in that was an ambassador of sorts, unofficially. His name is Keith Powers, a very well-known actor. And through just being able to utilize that, we were able to emotively get a lot of brand awareness. It wasn't a paid anything. Like, we were able to just really forge a relationship with him and use it on social. And that was that was led mostly by our founder, CEO, Gloria Umana. But just being able to make those type of trade-offs and know that the content has to resonate emotionally. Another example is Hadley. If you go to Hope Booth, it's pinned on the top of our account. Hadley is someone who got to go to a Hope Booth, and her mother's name was Hope, and she actually lost her life to suicide a year prior. And she came to the Hope Booth and saw the Hope booth and knew, like, this feels like something my mom feels like. A year, I think it was on the year anniversary that she actually got to do this. And so she was, of course, emotional. We were emotional for her, but emotively knowing the things that happen, you won't always get those videos, but you will get some type of ways to be able to translate to your audience why this matters. And then lastly, have a clear call to action. You have to have a clear call to action, and it should be, if you're at a conference like this, monthly giving, right? You should be able to tell people at the end of the day, I've been able to authentically show you why you should care. This is the emotive that I'm trying to just gauge from you. And now you know why. So here's how you can help this mission pull forward. And so I think those three things are very helpful. But also I want to say, I've seen some questions. Do not live or die by a post. We do not live or die by a post in organic. Organic is a long-term investment. It is a long-term investment that takes months and lots of data. And I am someone that has never said I'm an expert. I was actually hesitant to ever say anyone is an expert in social, because we know that this industry changes every single day. But I will say, I actually, and Jason and Maria and those of us who work in social, we're experts not because of we're so mastering in social, but we've experimented enough to know how much to invest in one thing or another. So just keep experimenting. You don't live or die by a post, and be okay with that.
Well said, Maya. Absolutely. And
Yep.
great points there. Love the authenticity piece. I cannot hear that enough. I love the no stock photo piece. Jason and Maria, back to you. And then there's so many good questions coming in the chat. We're going to try to get to that too. But a question for you both. You mentioned earlier your ambassador program. So your ambassador program is a unique way to engage supporters. So how is this program, how has it helped drive awareness and support for Leave No Trace's mission? And what role does social media play in its success?
Yeah, so we have a lot of great corporate partners, and we reached out to them. They have ambassadors of their own. We reached out to them if they had some that shared some core values as ours. We interviewed some of those people that they sent our way and really forged a relationship with them. And we don't really ask a lot of them because we want everything. You hear the word a lot here today. It's got to be authentic. If it's not authentic, you're not having true conversations or getting your message across in an appropriate way. Well, we're not trying to sell a whiz bang gadget. We're really trying to promote our idea of conservation. And so we are asking our ambassadors just to follow us, obviously, but to share some of our posts and create some of the content around our 7 principles that Maria talked about earlier, and show how easy it is to be a good steward of the land, right? So it's showing people how it can be effortless and not complicated at all, so that they can really believe in and become their own stewards in their own way. So that really helps them connect with their communities. And then we just ask them, if there's other ways that they've been working within their community that we might be able to play a part too, whether they're going to be at an event and we can give them some materials that's going to be at the event. We will promote them, obviously, any post that they make, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or what have you. And we had a 30th, we just did a conference, our very first conference this past October, and we had almost all of our ambassadors there, and they were able to sit down at panels similar to this one and really give their story, which was a really huge boost for all the people that were there to understand that it's not just environmentalists, hardcore environmentalists that are out there promoting the message. It's everyday people too.
Totally. Yeah. I'd like to add that, I think the real goal of our ambassador program was just to give a different voice to Leave No Trace, to expand that voice and expand it into these different communities. So all of our ambassadors, there's so much diversity on there, and that was strategically the idea there was to have different voices, diversity, artists, musicians, not just your hikers, your backpackers, but it sprinkles around to all these different communities that also still kind of have that same passion and morals and stuff with protecting our lands and stuff. But yeah, a lot of the program is still evolving, of course. Last year was our first real operational year of the program. So there's so much now that we're like, what more can we do with these guys? And on a membership side of things, like I want to start bringing these guys into some member only webinars, and whether there's, depending on the campaigns we have throughout the year, they are kind of that extra support system to kind of get the word out that we have a campaign going on. We have one coming up in Earth Month, where it's going to be a monthly member only focused campaign, and utilizing our ambassadors in that way to kind of spread the word, education as well. So we use these guys in lots of different ways, and excited to continue to use them more and connect with their communities and bring all of our communities together.
I love that. And listen, I feel like the word that keeps going around with all of y'all is this authenticity piece. Like it really is kind of hammering in. So I'm taking a question from the chat. The great Carolyn Ghost. I happen to know you, Carolyn Gorst. I happen to know you, Carolyn. I'm so glad for your question. If all of you could answer very briefly, like bite size, like one sentence or two, it's going to be a tough one, but I want to hear from you. How can you create that authenticity when you are working with highly vulnerable populations that cannot be used in photos? So if you have a quick little tip, we would love to hear about it. Maya, do you want to kick off with you?
Sure, that's a great question. And it's also something that is at the heart of, I think, a lot of the things that we did with Hope Booth, more so than my work at Charity Water and other things. I would say there's a trend of employee generated content. There's a great nonprofit called News Story. And they do this thing where they kind of talk about, it's another nonprofit that kind of talks about the things that they do in vulnerable areas, not as sensitive as what you stated, but in that they're able to utilize who they are and what they know about the cause and how they're educated and leverage that to speak to the stories that they know are real. And so there's creative ways to do it. Don't feel like there's a one size fits all. Of course, for every organization, every issue or challenge is going to be different. But I will say that don't catch yourself out. Like don't shoot yourself in the foot thinking that you're not someone knowledgeable that can't speak to it as well. You can very well talk from someone else's point of view or find creative ways to do that in a way that doesn't feel like you're even using or manipulating someone's story at that. So yeah, I want to be sensitive always, but authentic as much as you can be.
Love that.
Yeah,
Jason, Maria. Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I agree. And don't see what's on social media and think that you have to repeat exactly what's being done. You have to be you. You have to be your organization, right? Sometimes visuals just aren't going to cut it. So you can put up a post that's text, right? Because you can't show something that's sensitive, but you can talk about sensitive issues that don't point to somebody specifically. Yeah, it's sometimes we just need to get outside of our box of what we think social media is, and think of how can we communicate this thing, and don't think of it being on social media. Just think of how are you going to communicate it, and then try and distill it down, maybe to social or a blog post or what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Maria's like 2 thumbs up. Totally.
Yeah, you got it, Jason. I love a little tactic that I've started to use too is reaching out to our members and asking them to share pictures with us, share their stories with us. Can we use these? And that's that real organic content right there that is already out there. People have on their phones. I have like 20,000 photos on my phone. So just had that simple question. And that's just another engagement piece as well.
I love that. I love that. Thank you all so much. Dana, I wish we had another 2 hours to go through these questions, but this was incredible. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here and sharing your insights. Jason, Stephanie, Maya, Maria, you are all doing phenomenal work. Please go follow their social channels when you're talking about ideas and examples. Go follow them. I love just having like pinned like accounts that I know that I love stalking to get ideas from. So Leave No Trace, The Hope Booth, Charity Water, Givebutter, go follow them all on social media. Thank you to this wonderful first panel. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the summit and can hang around too.